Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.
Okay, g'day everybody. So we're back again. It's the 30th of April, and I'm not sure what happened. I can never quite get the lead in right, but I put a picture of Bounty Boat up to start it, because otherwise we have the same opening frame every time we do something, and that's a bit boring when you're looking at it down the line. So I'll tell you a bit about. We're still going on this thing. I'll tell you a bit about that at the end, because it's funny for me looking back on this whole deal, writing about it. We're just issuing a press release right now. Jane's about to press the button and send it out to 18,000 subscribers for McIntyre Adventures that we do, the GGR, AGR and MGR, but everyone's sort of still on the list. Writing about the entrance and just realising how happy they must be to have done this whole thing. It sent me right back to the very beginning of where it all started and how it evolved. And you may know the story, but I'll talk about it at the very end. So there's a few things going on. We heard from Gary last night, I think it was, talking about barnacles and stuff. So he's got some challenges. He's slowing down every day just about, but he's moving at the moment. I just had a quick peek at the 4 hours ago tracker. So that's kind of cool. And Dan got in okay, got in on the dark, sent us the pictures and stuff. Or the technical pictures, nothing to scream about, otherwise we would have used it in the press release. So anyway, we'll go straight into the tracker, and the numbers are getting less now as we go. So that's kind of interesting. Here we go. Have we got the right timeline? Yes, 4 o'clock, so that's cool. I was just looking at that, so we don't want to go that way, we want to go this way. Okay, we'll put the wind on as well to see how it's going, and I'll just squeak that up, make it a bit bigger. We'll go straight to the back of the fleet, which is Popeye and I should have made that smaller. We're going to be here we go. Popeye and John. I like to have the grid there, gives us some depth. And they're actually moving along quite okay. In fact, I can't even see the Galapagos there, but I'll go for their boat stats first while we just see the difference. 4.5 knots, 84-mile day, not too bad. They're still not quite in the zone. You can see there's the green, sort of it's transitioning into blue, and they're a bit more in the blue, so that probably explains it. And I can just get John there. He's got 83 miles. 83 miles and 3.6. Popeye's got 4.5 and 84 miles. So they're coming, going, bits and pieces, and they're very close once again. So hanging on to each other, which is a good thing to do. You can see a relative spot there. They've just gone through the Galapagos or underneath it, and now they're in a good position to get these trades. They just need to come down a bit more, but that's fine. And if we look at 1 day ahead, is about there. Similar breezes, getting a little bit more breeze. 2 days ahead. They got even more breeze, so they should be on a roll now. And currents, pretty straightforward. Oh, jeepers, I just missed one. They're getting a bit of a help there, and that's a bigger ride up the top. That's in 2 days' time. That's in about a day, and that's about nothing. Yeah, so it's building now. So if you're watching this, boys, you should just stay a little bit north. You might get a pickup on that, and for the next couple of days anyway. So nothing more to report there. We'll leave it on current and come back down here. The whole fleet's got a generally favourable current there. Nothing much happening. It's dying, if anything, but they're all getting close at the moment, except for poor old Gary. Japers, still lagging behind there, getting a bigger distance between Josh. Anyway, that's what happens through fate. So Gary at the moment is actually doing, he slowed down again. Okay, 3.6, 93-mile day. 4 hours ago, I think he was doing 5 something. So he slowed again, and he's a bit worried. So 93, Josh has done 124. So there's nearly 30 miles difference in a day. It's less than, more than a knot slower. And he's probably got exactly the same gear up, but when you drag barnacles, it really has a huge impact. And he may well be doing that. For some reason, he hasn't stuck a camera over the side. He doesn't know. He just got a hunch. Jeepers, I'd be in a flash. Try and work that out. But anyway, it's no use trying to get them off now because you might not have a scraper, and they're really hard to get off once they start to grow and lock in. So Josh is doing okay. Then we come back here. I'll pick this up and talk about Jasmine. Jasmine, she's the lead photo again. People will be saying, "Oh, you're favouring Jasmine. You're favouring Jasmine on the press releases. Where's pictures of Reddy Peeler, or where's pictures of whoever?" We can only put up what we get, and it's been hard to get. We're getting pictures, but just to sort of try and find the right picture. Some of them aren't sending anything. Some are sending a lot. Some are sending a few. So that's cool. Anyway, Jasmine's having an interesting time. I've got the most classic photo that you've probably all seen with the booby sitting on the hydrovane wind vane. It's a classic. Anyway, 5 knots and 124-mile day. That's pretty good. Everyone's now focused on getting in. So even though you're okay, so how far away is Jasmine? Jasmine is currently 282 miles away. But once upon a time, this is what happens when you sail around the world. 282 miles, it seemed like forever. If you were going out for the weekend and you had to do 282 miles, no way. But like this, she'll be washing her hair and cleaning her teeth and all that sort of stuff, getting ready to step ashore. There's only 280 miles to go. It's really close. So, and at the rate of, where is she? She's not coming up now. Okay, get rid of that. At the rate of 124 miles a day, that's 2 and a bit days. So you can say near enough to 2.5 days, and she'll have to juggle the day and night. Although the others have been coming in at night time with no real problems at all. So it's pretty wide open, and everyone's got an anchor light, and the conditions are usually good for sailing in. It's the winds from behind or after the beam anyway, even when you turn the corner. So it's a pretty safe approach at night time and get the anchor down when you're close enough. So Ayrton is cruising. I had a chat with him today again. 4.4 knots, 112 nautical miles. He's got a problem with his nav light, masthead nav light, and it's a special Italian one, and I'm trying to remember where I got it from. Very good one, super expensive, completely sealed, LED. Shouldn't fail, but he's only got a red sector by the look of it. And so we're trying to get a replacement. But he's happy, cruising along. Very much enjoying the passive Pacific. That's a good line. I should have used that in the press release. Oh well. Adam, 5.1, 129-mile days. Pulled away from Jasmine. Now look at buddy Jacob. Jeepers. He just went straight past Ayrton as if he's standing still. And now he's doing 4.9 and 126. So Adam's caught up 3 miles, 126 to 129, but still moving well. And Eric, 4.8 and 4.8, 116 miles. So you've taken out 10 miles on Eric, Jacob. Mark's heading up to Nuka Hiva, and he might have been watching our little discussion yesterday or the other day about solar panels, because now he's cramming in the solar panels. He's got a problem with his engine charging, so he's using the solar panels. So he's let all the lines go and pulled them off the solar panels. He hasn't put the mainsail up at all to let all the sun get onto the solar panels and make the most of it, to get as much power into the batteries as possible. So that's a good move. But anyway, Mark's heading to Nuka Hiva, so we'll miss out on the huge raging parties with the 580 fleet. But that's fine. He's got things to do there. That I think it's Nuka Hiva he's going to. Yeah, of course it is. So that's cool. We've done Eric. Christian has also got his major battery problems, but he's doing well. 4.4 knots, 111 miles to go. We got a call from his manager doing the 100-mile check-in before they get there, which is cool. And he's the next one in, because when we look here, Dan got in the pretty much as per the ETA we said yesterday, and it was dark when he got in, so he sent me a couple of photos just to confirm what was happening. He took photos of his flags, so we've got the sponsor and event flags up, photos of his lee cloths in the dark just to show his lee cloths are fitted, and also what was the other? A photo of the anchor rope. out intention just to confirm he's dropped his pick, so he'd be fine there now. So you can see there's Dan there doing 0.4 of a knot, but it could be just waffling around. So there's Dan, there's Pila, there's Kerry. Kerry, we spoke this morning as well, lined up for a live tomorrow morning sometime. And is it tomorrow morning? Yeah, I think it's tomorrow morning. Dan's there, and Renaud's buggered off. He's over to the side. There's a nice anchorage over there. That's where you go. It's a lot more, a lot calmer. You can see here. I forget the name of the bay here, but it's quite a nice anchorage. Apparently, never been there, but you can see just looking at it here. Nice sandy beaches. But when the Google Maps aircraft flew over, it was already loaded with boats. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think there's another one underneath him. 15 boats were in the anchorage when the plane flew over to take the shots. Well, it might be satellite. I don't know whether no, that's probably satellite. Yeah, that'll be it. Google probably do this lot on satellites. Maybe flights. I don't know. Interesting point. Anyway, so Renaud's over there. Nice anchorage. No swell coming in there, or very little, because you've got the southeasterlies or easterlies coming in. So this is on the other side of the island. Apparently, these are palm trees here. You can see lines of palm trees there by the look of it. Nice white sandy beaches. All that sort of stuff. Ooh, the cruising mode. Get away from racing for a while. So that's what's happening there. So Dan got in this morning at, I've got his exact time there, but he's basically 26 hours. No, in a sec. Goes something like this. When Kerry got in, he was 26 hours behind Holiday Dan. So he's about 26 hours behind Holiday Dan. Pila was about 3 hours behind Kerry. And Dan is about 18 hours behind Pila. So, and we don't log official times there. They haven't given us some anyway yet. The timing that we log is we just check that the time they've given us of when they stopped and dropped anchor and so on. They stay for exactly 8 days, and then they can pick up the anchor again and go for it. So I got a bit distracted there. Let's go. So that's where Dan is. And now we'll come back here and look at the weather for the rest of the fleet for 2 days. Come on, get out of there. We don't want the accreditation. Get away. Here we go. Put the wind back. We've already looked at the current. So 2 days is trade winds. It'll be a bit the same. It's not boring, but it's nice sailing. They're all having a nice time. Crikeys. It's very cool. So, okay, so we come up another day. It's lightening off, so it's a little bit lighter tomorrow. The day after, just a fraction lighter again. So it is dropping off a bit, but not too bad. And I'll just do one ETA, which will be Christian. I'll just push him up a little bit. So Christian is going to be around about 90 miles, so he should be doing about 5 knots, pretty much all the way in there. Get rid of that again. So, I just realised something. I hope you can't hear the music. If you can, we won't get anywhere. Jeez, I forgot to turn it off. Jeepers, we might be in trouble here. I usually turn the music off. 4.4 knots. Let me turn the music off. Jeepers, I'll try and smudge it out. Okay, I was in such a rush because we've been doing the press release. I usually turn that music off. Now, if the software program from Facebook and YouTube caught that, they might block the audio. So I might have only now popped up on audio. If that's the case, that's what happened. I had the music playing in the background, and I forgot about it. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Don't tell anyone. Bloody hell. Anyway. 90 miles and 4.4 knots he's doing at the moment. It'll be 18 hours, so it's probably going to be 22 hours. So probably 22 hours from now, it's just going up to 7, which means it's 5. 5, 6, 7 is 1700 UTC it is now. So it's 1700 UTC now, and he's going to be 20 hours, so take off 4. Take off 4, 5, 6, 7, 1300 hours tomorrow UTC. 1300 UTC for Kristen. and let's hope he can sort out his electrical issues. He's got a really rugged system, like really well engineered, really well installed, really well all the bits and pieces, but he's having some troubles with it. So let's hope he can sort it. I think that's we've seen the currents in the wind for 2 days. I think that's us done. So just a little word on this one. You won't get anything that makes any sense now on the leaderboard, so don't get too excited about that. The only time it'll make sense is when all of the boats have had their pit stops and all of the boats are sailing again. Then the leaderboard will come back online to a degree. Once Renaud starts sailing, he will be showing as if he's leading anyway because the others stopped at the pit stop. But even, like at the finish in Fiji, let's just say for argument's sake, and I'm not suggesting this is going to happen by any stretch of the imagination, but let's just say Renaud, once again, was the first boat into Fiji. If there was other people coming behind, it's going to map up the system. If they're still coming in, sailing into a pit stop, for instance, that will muck up the system. But the lead boats will all show correct rankings and so on. But for now, forget it. The software package that we have with YB3 doesn't allow us to put all these intermediate legs in, and we don't want it to be seen anyway as being a winner for any particular leg, any particular stage. We don't want stage winners and all that sort of thing. You can see when they arrive who's leading. Now they're having a break. When they get racing again, you'll see exactly what's happening. So don't get too excited about that leaderboard. Okay, that's enough of that. Here we go. Rightio, we're just about done. There's not too many people there, so I'll just show you. What you probably know this story, but you may not. This is, in fact, I've got the wrong one there. I'll come across here. Not that one. This one. This is my bounty boat. We put that together back in 2009. It's a beautiful. It's not the same as Bly's longboat. This is actually a whale boat, and it was. We did this on purpose because I was looking at doing the recreation of the Shackleton voyage from Elephant Island to Elephant Island and so on in South Georgia from the Antarctica when they lost the Endurance and they did this epic voyage anyway. Because there was a big debate about who and which is the most challenging open boat journey. Was it Shackleton or was it Bly? Shackleton was a lot shorter, but it was in the Southern Ocean, down in the Antarctic, which was a really rugged story. I'm not going to go into that now, but that was epic. And then Bly, of course, was kicked off the Bounty from just off the island of Tofua in Tonga, and then Fletcher Christian thought they'd all die, but they actually sailed for over 4,000 miles in an open boat all the way to Kupang in what is now West Timor. Or in Indonesia, I should say. So anyway, I thought, okay, because they're very expensive to build the boats. If I built Bly's longboat, it cost probably about 180,000, and so we did the whale boat. And if having done that, I could have done the Shackleton one and do the same thing with this boat. That happened with James Caird. They raised a freeboard and blacked it in and so on, and saved a lot of money. But in the end, after doing the bounty boat voyage, I was offered a spot on a recreation of the boat with another boat, so I was involved with that for about 6-7 months, but then that fell apart initially, so I pulled the pin on that, and I never decided to go back. But the bounty boat voyage was fantastic. We sailed this boat from, with me and 3 other guys, we sailed it from Tonga. Hang on. This is when we set off. This was our freeboard. There was 4 of us on the boat. We had 1.5 planks. That's a bit... You can see this is on the windward side. This is actually the high side of the freeboard. It was like about, in fact, I've got to take this here. I forget it was only 1.5 planks anyway of our freeboard, and we had canvas lee cloths here, and we put oars up on a frame and made a little tent over the top, which is the same as Bly did. Bly put lee cloths there to stop the water coming in. And then we had only the same food and water that Bly had, but he had to share it with 18 men, and we just did it with the 4 of us. So very little food and water, only 2 weeks of water when we set out. Took 48 days, I think it was. And so it was during this voyage, this was coming, wrong way. it was during this voyage that I came up with the idea of a race. Here we go. And this is still, I was just rocking and rolling there, but you can see we've got very little freeboard. There's a whole story in itself. You can catch onto the story on the McIntyre Adventure website. You can link onto many of our adventures. It's there. It's kind of fun. And it was during that I thought, oh, wouldn't it be good to have a proper keel and a proper cabin and a proper sealed cockpit, because this was an open boat. Anyway, and that's where the dream started. It was going to be anyone could build any boat in plywood as long as it fitted in a 20-foot container. Just ship your container to Tonga, and we'll race these boats from Tonga all the way to Kapang. And it was going to be the Bly Challenge. It was going to be great, but it was too expensive to ship them out, and it was too complicated. So over the years, it's evolved to the 580. There you go. So get rid of all that. Where are we? I digress, but yeah. So all the entrants are very proud, and rightly so. Especially, it was good to hear what Dan was saying. But they'd all be proud because they've built their own boats. They've now sailing and solo around the world, doing exactly what they dreamed of when they were doing it all, and it's really cool. And they're really doing it now. There's no like when we got to Panama, it was all a bit, oh yeah, we're sort of there. But they weren't there, but now well and truly in the Pacific, so things are changing. And that's one of the themes of the press release we're just sending out, which you could be getting it now. If you subscribe, it's probably dropping into your inbox as we speak, because it's now coming up this 1 o'clock in the morning in China, and Jane's still there. Anyway, we can't see the chart, mate. Oh, no. I don't know if you realise you're not sharing the tracker screen. Oh, shit. Ah, boy. I didn't realise. There you go. So too many things happening at once. Okay, well, we'll go back and do that now if you're still sitting there. That's a bit boring. No map. Oh, that was very clever, eh? Just joined, so apologies if you already covered it. No, we didn't get the map covered. Okay, bugger. Let's go back and do it again. I'll put the map on. You should now be looking at the map. Bloody hell, what happened there? I went to... jeepers. Radio. Well, we'll give you heard a great commentary. Jeepers, that was good, eh? We're lucky we're not the Vendée Globe. Okay, I'm going to go to the map. Right, we're both on the map now. I'm forgetting my usual standard commands. The weather is now back to real world. All right, I'll do this pretty quickly because you might have just been, I don't know what you were looking at. You must be looking at the black screen. I should have checked and got the okay. So here we go. Forget about John and Popeye. They're out there. They've got good weather. They're doing, 80, 90-mile days and side by side. Gary's got the barnacle problem. 3.6 knots. You can see he's in a tail end to Charlie in the group. 93 miles. Josh has got 124 miles, and they've got similar weather. So this will be a quick one. Jasmine, you can see what it looks like here. Jasmine's doing 5 knots, 124. Ayrton's just cruising 4.4, 112. Adams 5.1 and 129. Jacob's the one that's just ripped through the fleet. Looking good, 125 miles, 4.9. Eric, 4.8, 116. Mark's going up to Nuka Hiva. Christian here, 4.4, 111, and he's 90 miles from the anchorage. And I'll just come in here, I'll blow this up, and I'll show you the one where Renaud is. What's going on here? Here we go. Boom. So you can see there's the anchorage there. We'll go to Renaud's anchorage first, just so you can have a look, just so you know. I think a few of them might come over. It's a much better anchorage because the southeast is coming this way, and they're in the lead. The swell's not hooking around. And you can see even when Google Earth came in and took the pictures, there was a lot of cruising boats in there then. Renaud's plopped right there. Sandy beach, beautiful sandy beach, palm trees, all the rest of it. He'll have a nice time there. He'll be studying his manuals on how to sail, the beginner's book of how to sail. joke. Jeepers, come on. It's locked in. Yeah. And we come over here to the anchorage. Whoop. What the bloody hell? It's been a busy day today. Rightio. and you can see here. This was interesting. The track, looking at who's coming in. This one was Kerry, I think it was. Kerry came right over here and then made his approach back in that way to the thing. Or was it Dan Turk? I forget now. I'll have to boost it right up. We're leaving the tracker on while they're in there for anyone that wants to watch them when they move around. That was Dan Turk. So Dan went right over the other way. Made me wonder. I wonder if he went too far and didn't wake up until he was right over here. Oh, hang on. So this is Dan Turk coming in. He's kept it right in the middle, and then when he's got right over here, he's got across for the anchorage. And anyway, they're in there. So Dan, Peeler, Canadan, Holiday Dan, and also Kerry. Kerry's down the back, so they're all in there. Okay, I think that's that's that one for anyone that's still there watching this. This is crazy. So sorry about that, everybody. I didn't mean to do that, but I got thrown because I needed a picture so that when you see the picture at the opening of the thing, and it just sits on Facebook for people to open. If it's always the same picture, they don't know what it is. Anyway, so thanks for telling us you couldn't see anything. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, Shannon, don't worry. I crack a lot of people up. I think, bloody McIntyre, hopeless. Anyway, I'm reading all the no map. Just joined. Yeah, you're late, Cleverton. I'm really pissed off about that. If you've already covered it, do you know if Kerry has a spare spinnaker to replace the one that's not good? I didn't want to have a big chat with Kerry this morning because I wanted to keep it fresh when we talk live here tomorrow. But what he did say, because I just mentioned, downwind he was saying about bits, it may be a case where he's absolutely, jibing downwind. That's why he's doing the zigzag course. And as he's doing the zigzag course, it's partly because he's got the servo pendulum system rather than the hydrovane. And he believes that it'll start to lose it a bit and start to round up with the apparent wind on the asymmetrics, which increases speed, and then the wind vane has a bit of trouble trying to keep up with it, keep control of it. So it was actually Sid, the manager. I better check my signals here. Oh, hang on a sec. What are you guys? I haven't come back. I'm really good today. I'm on the ball. It was actually Sid. I'll just read you his message that we got the other day. What's that? Where are we? Because I thought it was Sid that said he was lacking the kite. Kerry works the wing shifts and he does not have a double Genoa. He called it a double Genoa. So I'm not sure. I just took that to be like he's not running twins. You see a lot of boats will run twins, either twin asymmetrics or a jib and an asymmetric or whatever. And sometimes the mainsail and one or two of bits and pieces combination. So I took that to read that he was missing a kite. But at the same time, I said on one occasion I found that hard to believe because he's definitely wanting to be competitive, and I thought he had all his sails. So and here it's got didn't have the double Genoa to pole out, so they are going dead down. So as the others are going dead downwind, he's broad reaching. He's still in dinghy racing. So we'll find out tomorrow. I'm not sure the exact time. It was going to be about 11 o'clock French time, but I've got a Zoom call now for an hour from 11 to 12, I think. No, 10:30 to 11:30 or something. So I had to tell him to delay it a bit. So it's probably going to be around midday or something, local time in France tomorrow. But anyway, if you see it come up, if you want questions with Kerry, it'll be there, and you can ask questions, and I'll pass it on and ask him as well. Aeronautic BC, what primary navigation system was used on the bounty boat? Oh, it was all Sexton. It's a very interesting story, that, because I did the same thing. And there's if you know the bounty boat story, in the things early, well, anyway, they had in the day they had sextants and they had octants, right? And they had the bounty boat actually had. If you've read the story about longitude, when I've forgotten his name now. I'm getting old. The guy who made the chronometer. oh boy, there's so many stories here. I haven't spoken about it for years. I forget his name now. He had to prove the concept by building 3 replicas of the original chronometer, and he did. And Bly got given one of those replicas to take, and it was worth in the day the money that was worth uh, half the cost of the entire bounty boat and everything they put on it, and all the costs of the crew for the whole voyage. So when you looked at the budget for that voyage to Tahiti and get the breadfruit and bring it back, and the purchase of the boat and the conversion and refit, the chronometer was worth half the cost. It was half the budget. Anyway, so they had a timepiece and they could therefore work out longitude. But when they got into the bounty boat, when they were ejected from that, Fletcher Christian obviously kept the chronometer. It was a good thing to have. And Bly had a sextant and an octant on board the boat, but no real timepiece. He had a pocket watch, and it was ticking over fine, but eventually failed after a number of days. So what they did without that, they were able to get meridian passage. They were able to take a noon sight and get an east-west position line. The other thing he had was he basically had he had his book of tables that helped him with the DR, and he had an idea of exactly where he wanted to go, and he had a book, like an almanac, of the day, which gave the latitude and longitude of all the key points to actually sail through Torres Strait and get to Kupang, because that was where they were headed, right? And so he had planned that voyage while the boys were playing up with the girls in Tahiti and having a grand time, because as you know, one nail could do you really well, so all the nails off the ship were getting lost because the boys would go and present the nail to the women, and there you go, while all that was happening, Bly, who there is some suggestion that he may have had a gay relationship with Fletcher Christian, which is another huge story. And believe me, I've spent years studying Bly and all the rest of it. There's a lot of things that are quite amazing about that. Anyway, he knew where he was going. He'd been planning it for months and months and months. So when he was put into the longboat, he knew exactly where they wanted to go. And when one of the guys was killed on Tafua by the Tongans, they decided to bolt. They were going to go with what they had. So the primary navigation was a sextant and an octant. The octants were used for the midshipmen usually. They were a bit simpler instrument. And they had a sextant on board, but no timepiece, virtually no charts, but they had the latitude and longitude of everywhere they wanted to go. And that's part of the reason they made it back there. There's so many stories there. So what did we have on our little boat? I had the same thing. I had a Davis plastic sextant, which I've still got, and I had a genuine octant, right? So I had an octant as well, but it was a bit hard to do that. But we were just doing meridian passage. I had one chart on board, which was basically covering half the world. I basically had no charts. We just had a sextant, and we were running under the same conditions as Bly, and we nearly mucked up the same way. We nearly planted onto an island. We would have if it was night time. We were sailing along heading towards Australia after Fiji and all that sort of stuff. And one of the guys, Chris, was looking over the side and he said, I'm seeing colour. We're out in the ocean. Out in the ocean. It should have been like thousands of metres deep. And he said, I'm seeing flashes of colour. I said, you're kidding me. And we started watching and it was going light blue, light blue. Anyway, about an hour or so later, we see this little blip on the horizon. And right where we were going for this atoll, like a bank, a shoal that had a little island on it. But not an island, like a sand cave full of birds and things like that. But it had a fringing reef. And we were going right for it. If we hadn't seen that had happened at night time, we would have just planted straight on that one. And we had an even worse situation than that in Fiji. We nearly lost it. And if we had lost that, we would have been dead. There's no question. Anyway, I'm distracted. There's a lot of good stories about the bounty boat, but yeah, we had the same thing. So it was quite an adventure, that one. It was good fun. Good map. Cool. Okay, Don. Sorry, can't type. Don. Sorry, can't type. Okay, sorry, John. I was impressed. There was a guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize. I saw it the other day about AI. He's really worried about it. He's the guy that came up about machine learning. And, he's getting on a bit now, but it's really scary what he's talking about. But he types like this. This is a guru. He types just like me. But anyway, I digress. Just in time to see you fuck it up. Oh, that's Jane. That's Jane. Just in time now, the map. Okay, Jen, you're meant to be sleeping. Don't give me a hard time. It's your fault. You should have been monitoring it on Facebook. So I think the press release might have just gone out. So yes, that's not me there. That's Jane laughing and bloody all the rest of it. Lolly, thanks, Lolly. Canada Dan track. Yeah, okay. Parasail, okay or not? No. Um, the the sails on the 580 class are all strict one design. They're all supplied by Quantum Sails. They're all exactly the same. You don't have any option. You have to buy those sails. Uh, Canadan actually had some normal. Anyone can build your 580, and you don't have to have our sails. But if you want to race in the Transat or the MGR, you then have to re-buy the sails and get the Quantum sails for racing in a fleet. Then you know everyone's got the same sails. Because we've got a few owners of 580s that have bought. Maybe cheaper sails, dollar wise, because they're just going to cruise around the bay. Our catchphrase is around the bay or around the world, but if you want to race around the world or the Transat, you have to have the Quantum sails. And the sail wardrobe is now fixed, it will never change. There was some discussion about a dead downwind sail, and I was hesitating on that because you want to keep the budget down. And it's shown clearly in this leg that with the A7, the new one that we put in, you're complete. You can run twins, and you can either juggle it around. You can use the 3, 5, or the 7 to do all sorts of things. So you don't need another spinnaker. So that's all there is, and you're restricted to 7 sails on board as well. When will Canadan rel? When will Canadan rel? Well, he's got in, and he can leave exactly 8 days later. So they arrived in the dark, so they'll no doubt be leaving in the dark exactly 8 days. It is not 7. Tahiti is 7 days. Will Canadan? Okay, they can be seen in Greenwich. Yeah, geez, I'm trying to, because the other story is, this is the amazing part. This is just me. I had this beautiful octant, but anyway, it was stolen. Long story. So I used the octant, and then the guy, it'll come to me. Kemp. Thingo and Kemp. Yeah, the guy who did the chronometer for longitude. This is a true story. This is another amazing connection here. He then, at the end of his career, because he fought for like 30 years to get paid a huge amount of money from the Admiralty. They said the first person that has a working chronometer will earn, squillions of dollars, right, or pounds, and they resisted paying him because, for whatever reason, it took him 20 years to get paid. And so when he'd done that, he was succeeded, and they now had chronometers to do longitude, which was fantastic. And he went on to Thingo and Kent, or someone at Dent. He joined up with another watchmaker, right? And that was the name of the company. And I actually bought one of his on auction, original pocket watches, silver one. It was a silver pocket watch. It was very expensive. And I had that on board the bounty boat with me. So I had an octant, beautiful octant, and I had Kendall and Dent. I forget now. Pocket watch, which cost a fortune. That got stolen as well. So I did the whole trip with us all the way, and now I've got no octant, no pocket watch. But anyway, so I was a bit pissed about that because they were going to be trophies. I always wanted to turn that octant into a trophy for the OGR, like a perpetual trophy, but it got went missing. Anyway, when will Canadan receive his penalty, and how will this affect the race? Well, okay, so what will happen now is Christian's still out there, but Dan knows that he's got to give me a report on what happened, dates, times, weather conditions at the time, what the current was, what the issues were, as much information as they can, and exactly what he did to get Christian to come back, called him on the radio, how long it took Christian to come back, and then what Christian did, whether Dan had anchored or whether he just took up a tow rope and pulled him away, how long he pulled him for, all the details. So I get that from Dan, and then I get the same thing from Christian, because then we sit down, and I've already discussed it with me and 2 others that make a decision, discuss the general concept, and then we'll look at the facts and then decide what the issues were, and then make the final statement. And when we do, it'll be we inform both the skippers first. Once they've had that, then it's public information. We post it as all our penalties for all the All our events are public information, so anyone can have scrutiny on it and see how we do it, what we do. So let's say Dan gets me that report in the next couple of days. Christian's in another day or so, so I'd say probably in a week, probably before they leave, they'll be given a penalty. And then we usually, under the notice of race, there'll be a time box situation or a penalty line. So rather than keep that penalty accruing, at some point, we don't know when that'll be. At some point, they'll have a latitude line if they're going north-south. And when they get to that latitude, they'll be advised, right, your time's up. You've got to now stay south of that line for the next 3 days or 4 days or whatever it is until you've served your time. And then you've got to cut back and carry on. And you can only cross over the line within a certain longitude. So that way it negates the penalty. You've served it on the water so people can see you sailing and you know what's going on. So the serving of it will be decided later on, exactly what we do. And if we don't do that, because it's a bit different in this instance, because we've got legs, I have to read the notice of race to get familiar with it again, see what it says about that, whether we do a penalty box or whether it's just taken on the time, because there'll be a lot of time adjustment for the legs. As you can see, everyone comes in for leg one, but then they all start together. So we've got to do a time differential to get the final results at the leg two. And then the same at the end of leg three, when they're in Cape Town, to find out who the winner is. There'll be a corrected time putting in all the differences, because Renaud won the first leg, he might win the second leg, but he may not win the third leg. Someone else might win. So then it goes through, and overall, by the time we get to the end, we'll know the time difference before they start on the final leg, and once they've done that, you'll know what's going on. So try to keep it as simple as we can, but it's not that simple. Thanks, Don, for the detailed info. No problem. Loving the One Design ethos. Any interesting tenders to look out for? Any pink flamingo blow-ups? Yeah, the duck for John was a pretty good one, or the swan. They won't get used very often, but they're very important. I'm not sure what Renaud had for this. I'll just give an example. There was a really good one that popped up in Panama, of all places, at what's the name? Jeepers, the big sports store. They're all over the world. Jeepers, they're just down the road here. Anyway, someone bought one. I don't know whether it's one of our guys or because they're really lightweight, but they're special material. It's not just a cheap PVC. It's like a high-tech material. So you probably saw the video of Renaud paddling around in his little boat. That's what it is. It's for backpacking. And it's a one-person boat. And it's super light. It's like about, I don't know, 3 kilos or something. That's about all. And it's really very interesting. It was about €550 for this little one-man boat, but it's very light, so I'm not sure who bought the first one. I think in the end there was about 5 entrants bought that one. Kerry's got a stand-up paddleboard. Adam's got a really cool, like a fun, it's not a toy one, but it's not a dinghy. It's like a flat board with a clear view panel. You can stand on it and paddle it. And Jasmine's got like a little tender, a normal little PVC blow-up tender, a little one, which she bought really cheap. Looked expensive, but they got it second-hand on some, like an eBay site or something. It cost her like £70 or something. It's a little ripper. So they've all got different takes on the tenders, but you do need one. I tipped everyone off a year or so ago. I said, hey, what are everyone thinking about tenders? Because there's some places that you just need a tender to get ashore. So they're doing it. Everyone's got a different take on the tenders to save weight and so on. So great to catch. The history of the navigation tools and chronometers is fascinating. Yeah, it was quite good fun, that trip. At the time it was finished, I said that. So someone asked me the question, and in my mind, my bounty boat expedition was the best adventure I've ever done because it was so simple. It was just a little sailboat, ropes, pulleys, bits and pieces. We had all the safety gear, but it was very basic, very down to earth, and it was good fun. Okay, that's it. That's enough of that. Rhubarb, Jane will be waiting to go to bed. She'll probably want to show me something. So thanks, everybody. I will try and get I've lost it now. Jeepers. It's not even here. Oh, there it is there. It hasn't rewound. Jeepers, I'm going to have to do a straight out, I think, because it didn't rewind. There it is. Okay, that's the out clause. I'll try and start it. Nope, it's not starting, so here we go. Yeah, small boat, huge adventure. See you later.